Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of HOA Outdoors. This is a little different than what you're used to. No fishing videos today. Today we're going to talk about a Pennsylvania whitetail buck that I've been after for the past couple years. And before we get into that, go ahead and subscribe and like this video and share it with a friend. We thank it, and we'll take all the support we can get. So thank you for watching and tuning in. I hope you enjoy this. If you saw my Instagram post, and if you don't follow us on Instagram, go follow us at HOA Outdoors. You saw that I posted a picture, or a series of pictures of a deer that we've been hunting for the past couple years. It's a buck that we call the splitter buck. He was this year a 4.5-year-old deer. Luckily, from what we know, he has made it through the season, and he's a beautiful buck here in Pennsylvania. In this part of Pennsylvania, like the whole state, it's heavily hunted. There's a lot of hunting pressure around us, and in this part of the state, the southeast corner of the state, that there is a ton of open ag fields and little pieces of cover here and there. Luckily, we're able to have a decent amount of cover in this area, so it gives us the opportunity to hold deer, be the quote-unquote herd influencer, and push deer to the next age class. And this is one of the success stories that we have been able to follow this deer since he was a 2-year-old. So that's really where the story begins in 2019. In 2019, we started getting pictures in early October of a really nice 2-year-old 8-point. Didn't know a lot about him, just he'd be here, he'd be there, he'd be all over the place. No real pattern in early October. We'd have one daylight picture of him, a couple night pictures, just all over the place. Something, a deer that you think, in Pennsylvania, deer's probably going to get shot. How much he's bumping around in early October. Well, I was hunting, it was the first day of the rifle season, Pennsylvania, and that year I shot an 8-point, and I pulled a card that was in a stand that we don't hunt a lot. We save it for the rut and first day of rifle season. Right near a bedding area, deer going in and out. When they get pushed, they would like to head to this thicket. And I pulled the card, and he was all over it as a 2-year-old. He'd really we saw right around October 16th, 15th, he'd kind of really made that part of the property his really scent checking for doe. The downwind side of those doe bedding areas, and he was all over in there chasing doe, fighting, hit a scrape a couple times, and we really saw, okay, this deer likes this area. He's obviously, as a 2-year-old, he had he had a nice split off his right G2, and he was a deer that you look at and go, wow, I'd love to see that deer make it through. And when he made it through the rifle season, and we had pictures of him in late season, actually a couple daylight pictures of him in late season. And we were really excited. Goes through 2019, and we go into 2020, which was a year of chaos. COVID hit, things went haywire. But when we got into the deer woods in 2020, as a 3-year-old, he was all over the place. We get picture of him here, there, again, early October, a lot of night pictures, just kind of didn't feel great about it. I had made some mistakes with some hunting pressure on this farm in 2020, and I felt like in the early part of the season I bumped him off. I had put a little too much pressure on him, and I shot a doe out of a food plot, which is never a good thing to do in early October in heavy hunted states like Pennsylvania. But, we all get excited. But I just felt like in the beginning of part of October, he wasn't really using the property like he should. And even into November, I only got a couple daylight pictures of him in early season as a 3-year-old, and I was really concerned that he was going to get shot and killed somewhere, because as a 3-year-old, as you hear a lot of times as a 3-year-old, it's like 18-year-old boy. They're all over the place. and it just seemed like he was all over the place. One of my friends that hunts a couple miles, 2 miles from where we hunt, actually missed this deer in rifle season. So again, luck plays a lot into this. What he was doing 2 miles away. Guess what? He was dogging a doe. Probably when the doe came into that second heat, about 5th or 6th of December, 30 days after the first cycle, an unbred doe, he probably dogged her, and it almost cost him his life, but we got lucky, and the story went on. But then after that, I don't know if you don't know how smart deer are, how smart they aren't, but after that incident, on my cameras, I saw him almost move back onto the property, and all through the end of rifle season as a 3-year-old, we had daylight pictures of him, and in late season especially, really started to see daylight activity from him, and I kind of felt like, okay, we are back into his core. I also that year didn't have cameras set exactly where I should have. The hunting pressure, it bumped those doe back, and as you know, you need that depth of cover. So when those doe get bumped off of their food sources, it's not great. You want to have them consistently hitting that green food source every night, and if it's unpressured, they'll only bed 50, 60, 70 yards from that food source, which on this property would give us more opportunity for buck to bed back further on the property, and so on and so forth. So as going into the end of the 2020 season, made 1 or 2 hunts for him. My sister saw him the last day of rifle season in person, and it was great to see that he made it through. And then I got a couple daylight pictures of him in the late archery season / muzzle flintlock season here in Pennsylvania, and I just didn't get to hunt him. But as fate would have, I get a call beginning of February from the landowner, and he said, "Hey, my dog brought home a shed," and this is the shed of that deer as a 3-year-old. He still had a lot of character. He's got that character, those extra character points, those cheaters. The thing I didn't realize, and I don't know if you can really tell, is the mass on the deer. He's got 5¼ inch bases. He carries his mass a long way, and he's got 11-inch tine and 8 1/4, 8.5, I want to say, and just real long main beams. Good brows. There's actually, I don't know if you can see it, there's still from him rubbing a little bit of wood on the back of his brow tine, and that's well over a year old, so I don't know if you can see that or not. But this was kind of like a awe-inspiring moment. We taped this side, and if you put I forget exactly what the scoring was, but this side and an equal side on the other side, which was he's about the same on each side, put him gross score of like 142, 143 as a 3-year-old, and for Pennsylvania, for anywhere 142-inch 3-year-old, that's a great buck. So that got us really excited for the 2021 season and what was going to be in store for that. Unfortunately for me, my work schedule was crazy this fall in 2021. I wasn't able to get out and hunt a lot, but we were able to let the pressure off a little bit, especially in early season. Really let those doe keep the doe, quote-unquote, doe bedding areas that we wanted on the farm. We allowed them to use the 40 to 70 yards right off the food source that they were hitting every night. We watched our access, we watched our winds, and I knew as a 4-year-old that he was going to be even more skeptical than he was as a 3-year-old. Now, what I really saw with this buck as a 4-year-old compared to a 3-year-old was his home range completely shrink. I started getting pictures of this deer right at the end of September at night, and this is a very consistent thing that I've seen with him. And from seeing what other people say online, watching videos, that fall shift that we see those whitetail buck have, they're in their summer patterns, they're in the beans, they're in the corn. Well, when those beans start to brown up, those horns start to get hard, they start to move into their fall range, and that's exactly what we saw. Started getting some night pictures of him, started getting some night pictures here and there, and then right around August, I want to say 8th or 9th, somewhere in there, October 8th or 9th, somewhere in that area, I got my first daylight picture of him, and that was really, I didn't know at the time. We didn't get to check that camera that he was seen on till the end of October, actually the beginning of November. But we could just see through that trail camera that he was in there in early October, and we could see that he used the property more, and that letting that depth of cover, giving him that quote-unquote sanctuary, where really your whole property should be a sanctuary. You should have at least, I'd say, 75% of your property where deer all the time can't hear you, smell you, or see you. You got to plan your entry and exits well. You got to really hunt them smart to have the opportunity to hold deer like this, because you might say, well, this 15 acres here is my sanctuary, but depending how you're entering and exiting the property, it might not be. And we're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a perfect storm with this deer, and we had pictures of him all through archery season. Again, checking downwind of those doe bedding areas. We had him on different scrapes, and it was just great to see him. I had him on cell camera multiple times. Great to see him using the property how we wanted him to use the property, and in daylight hours, in middle of the day at times. So we could tell this was definitely his core area. And through archery season, we didn't have an encounter with him, but we had cell camera pictures, we had trail camera pictures. It's kind of a matter of time. So flash in the rifle season, and first weekend goes by. We went upstate in the mountains, didn't hunt at home, and just to get away a little bit. Was that a mistake? Maybe, but there's more to hunting than just hanging big deer on the wall. It's about the family and seeing everybody, seeing family members we don't get to see the rest of the year a lot. That's what hunting's really about. So we took advantage of that, went up there, and then first Saturday and second Saturday I had to work, but my sister was able to take both days off. She didn't see him the original first Saturday of Pennsylvania, the second Saturday now, but she wasn't able to see him that day. She saw some doe, some younger buck, and then the last Saturday, it was a really foggy morning, and she was just able to get a couple glimpses of him as he was skylining, and it was a really tough situation, and it was hard. She couldn't get a shot off. She made the right decision, but a really tough decision to pass that deer up. And I keep checking a couple of my cameras, cell camera, when again, he makes it through the rifle season. And late season, it's on. I have a little bit more time. I got a little more aggressive in late season. And there was a Monday night, I think, second week in January, I want to say. I was able to sneak into a stand there, and I saw a really good 2-year-old buck. Came right to me, was at full draw, couldn't get a shot off. And as he bounded away, 75 yards behind him was the splitter buck. He stood up. He was only bedded about 150 yards from me. He stood up and took 2 bounds, and there he went. Got a couple trail camera pictures of him later. And then the second to last Saturday of the late archery season, or flintlock season in Pennsylvania, we did a little push, getting aggressive late season, and the neighbor saw him out of his back door and came running out saying, wow, there's a really, really nice buck running around still, and that was him. I got trail camera pictures of him. So he'll be a deer that we can hunt. Should be able to hunt. He could, you never know. He could get hit by a car. He could get poached. There's a million things that could happen to him, but we really look forward to hopefully having an opportunity to hunt him in 2022. He's a deer that's just. I love this stuff. I love the management of deer. I love trying to push these deer to the next age class in Pennsylvania, where some people say you can't do it, some people say it's impossible. Well, it's not. You need a perfect storm, you need some luck, but you need luck everywhere in hunting. That's just how it goes. So to have a deer like this, it's unbelievable, and it's just a fun, challenging thing, because when they get to that 4-year-old class, he didn't act like any other buck. He was sporadic, but his daylight movements really shrank to 300 yards maybe a lot of the times, where he was moving from bedding area to food sources. Now at night, I don't know, they still maintain that 3 mile home range at night, but really when that buck got to 4.5 years old this year, man, did that home range shrink. And we saw him just not want to move a whole lot. He wanted to stay up on that hill. He wanted to stay where he was safe, and that's what gets him to that next age class. But thanks for watching. I hope, it's the middle of winter. Good luck shed hunting to you guys that are out shed hunting. Be safe, ice fishermen. If you're out there catching fish through the ice, be safe. Hopefully we got ice for a little bit longer here. I know in southern Pennsylvania it's starting to warm up a little bit, but I know in northern Pennsylvania and all through the upper Midwest, you guys still have plenty of ice to ice fish. And then turkey season and trout season will be here. I'm itching to go fly fishing, but we'll be here before we know it. And then turkey season in May, and then it'll be summer scouting, summer trail cameras, food plots, the whole 9 yards. So thanks for watching, guys. God bless, and have a great day.